Hi, Katarina. I may welcome you in my name and I think in name of Davor as well to the Global Living Room. Welcome. So let's try to connect Vienna, Barcelona, and Stockholm and to try to expand to the world somehow with thoughts and ideas. So in the beginning, I would like to start with a deep breath. So if we do, this is something that we're doing for tens of thousands of years, and we take it for granted. It's air, it's oxygen, and we simply are used to it. We're simply used to take it. It was always there. It will always be there. And however, water is already not there as it used to be. We are already getting used to buy bottled water that we can drink. We are already getting used to destroyed, filthy waters without any life in it. And basically, this can happen to the oxygen. In some dystopian world, we could imagine buying oxygen as we are buying bottled water. And this would be ultimate win of the buying over life. And this is what I simply wanted to start to give you a teaser that we are living in a society, in a culture, in a world society that's taking too many things for granted. And to start talking with you, Katarina, what would you say that are the key threats, the key issues that are threatening, let's say, normal way of life now? Ecological.
I would say it is a climate destruction. In the climate destruction, resource wars and all the inequalities we are used to, we take for granted, and we use, they would be for me the main threats. But let me just explain what's happening with oxygen and water. Water is not running, we are not losing water, we are losing the fresh water resources globally because our system misuses them and pollute them. So our fresh water system are going down, but our seawater, not salt water quantities are coming up. That's why sea levels are rising. No? So that's the point with water. Water is always there since the beginning. No, some 4 billion years ago. No, it came after all other elements. So water is always there. We are not losing water. We are losing fresh water sources. That's the biggest issue with water. And the second one about oxygen, we are breathing fossil gas. Gas that was produced, oxygen that was produced by cyanobacteria 4.5, 4.3 billions of years ago. Because plants, they do produce oxygen, but they need that oxygen for their metabolism, and they need them at night for night metabolism of plants. No, so plants have equilibrium, oxygen equilibrium. They produce what they use, but plants do much more things than just producing oxygen. What they do, they store atmospheric carbon. No? They prevent erosion. Because the whole life on Earth depends on this thin layer of fertile soil. And that's what plants do. They just protect that layer and protect the hydration levels of the ecosystem. That's why we have now in globally much more floods, because there are no enough trees to hold that water. And all that fresh water is running to seas and finishing as a saltwater systems, and we are losing permanently.
I was reading, I forgot where, in some book that Eastern islands, the ones with these gigantic heads, stone heads, etc.
Rapa Nui.
Rapa Nui, that they were basically forested completely.
Exactly.
Yeah, and the people who lived there deforested them and basically killed their own civilization.
They think that it was some a rebellion, a turmoil, because the last culture that lived there, last population, they overthrown they overthrown the leader and they broke those sculptures, no, ancestral sculptures. So they really don't know what really happened. But it's the first fall of the civilization that we have more or less registered.
Okay. And in this respect, I would like to share with you the idea as a kind of, I myself, I'm really in any way not any expert in this field. However, when you mention water and when you mention air, the first thing that comes to my mind is Amazon. So what's happening in Amazon? Are we witnessing this savanization of the rainforests? How dangerous it is for the air?
I'll come to Amazon. I just want to give a perspective, no? How we should think from now on, more or less. The point of Amazon is publicity. No, we all know the Amazon rainforest, but there is Congolian rainforest and Angolian rainforest, and there are forests in Mozambique, and there are forests all over Latin America that are not called Amazon, but we have a lot of forests. And Australia was burning, and Tasmania was burning recently. So Indonesia, Papua. So let's just understand that nature, we are part of the nature. It doesn't belong to us, but we need nature much more than nature needs us. And we as a humans and as a culture, global culture, let's say, depend on all other species with whom we share this planet. And none of the species depends on us, not even our dogs. So the point here is we are talking about our proper extinction. Ecosystem rebounds, ecosystem do come back, some species can recover, or will adapt, or will die, but we change our ecosystem and our common habitat so quickly, we are unable to adapt to the pace of a change. So I was just wanting to say, like a small digression, and just said that all the forests are ours, and we are of the forests. So when the forest, when Amazon is burning Australia, it's like our forest is burning. We don't need to wait for forests near Barcelona, Stockholm, or Vienna to start burning. We have to react now.
Okay, I'll take that.
That's my position now. So Amazon, sorry.
No, I'll remember this because this is excellent point that you said.
So Amazon is on a tipping point. And we call a tipping point something when one ecosystem is changing from one to another in a fast way, which is impossible to stop, to turn back. To turn back. So when these serious studies about climate change started in the 80s and 90s, scientists thought that we reach tipping points when something about 20% of the ecosystem or more is damaged or absent. But Amazon reached, in December, 17% of destruction, but complete total destruction. And we know that our worst case scenarios about climate change are already there, already present. We thought that this devastation and these changes of patterns in extreme weather cases in temperature will come at the end of the century. They are already here. We were talking about at the end of the century, we will have 1.5 degree more of the temperature. We are having we are almost there. Atmospheric content of carbon dioxide and monoxide, and now methane from the permafrost, from the permafrost in Siberia, they are so high. They are doubled, they doubled. They are more than 420 points per million, and they were lower than 200 in the beginning of industrial revolution. So the situation is really, really not that scary. We can say scary because we really don't know what is going to happen, because we are on a...
Do you agree that we talked before, and I know that basically, as you said, we do not know where is the tipping point. So we cannot say if we reached it, if we passed it, or if we are still to reach it somewhere in the future. And
we should assume that we already reached it.
Yeah.
But we should assume, so we start working. You know how many activists have been killed during this quarantine in Latin America? numbers are crazy, like 120 people just in Colombia, dozens in Mexico, dozens in Peru, and in Brazil, we don't even know.
Killed
so
by...
the point is, because the activists and all the people protecting forests and indigenous activists, indigenous leaders are now at home. No, they are easily targeted and found now because they have their own quarantine. So they are just falling. If you follow the news, you will see it's incredible. And in Bolsonaro and now in Brazil, forests are completely, and indigenous communities are completely disprotected because there are no agents now during the quarantine. So deforestation rates are plummeting, they're sky high. So we don't even know where are we, because we are 2 months already in a quarantine, and the deforestation and mining and everything we don't want. You just continue, you know. So the world before quarantine and after the quarantine will be a bit different.
Now, of course, but we can say that facts are scaring. However, I really honestly do believe that we are all of us are definitely not anywhere near to this doomsday theories, which I really was talking to Davor. We had even idea that maybe it looks to us, this is a shared opinion, that Davor, as you said, I think that oil companies or someone else could be financing this, because the point is, okay, anyway, it's done, we cannot do anything about it. We have the shared idea that we have to follow this Gramsci's path of intellectual optimism on will, followed by pessimism of intellect. And in this respect, we have to fight against these facts. And can you tell us, Davor, can you please tell us something about what's your opinion on the social, cultural, systemic, political, whatever predispositions for the destruction of the ecosystem?
Well, first of all, I would like to thank Katarina for this wonderful image that she drafted for us, that shows pretty clearly the scale of those dramatic changes that are taking place as we speak. And some of them might even be unrecoverable. So that is, I don't think that actually people really, even intellectuals, have really the awareness of how serious these developments are, because we hear about climate change all the time. We hear about the destruction of the environment and so on and so forth. And people think, yeah, okay, it's you know, a little bit more garbage here and there, and you know, there is pollution, and we all know that. But it doesn't seem to me that people are really aware that all these changes that are currently taking place just simply cannot be stopped through a simple decision or a simple procedure that could take place, let's say, on a political level. So once these changes are initiated, even if we all collectively decided now to actually do our best, the effects, not just environmental effects, but economic, social, and so on, will be visible for many years to come. And I think that the current mode of capitalist economy is primarily to be blamed for the developments that we are witnessing to right now. Of course, it is never just in an abstract, it is never some kind of abstract spirit of the capitalist economic system. It is always in symbiosis with local authorities, with local power structures, whether it be more or less legitimate political structures or local gangs, local exploiters, who can, for their own benefit, support the system and buy into this dominant ideology that's actually destroying the world right now. So I think that is a very, in addition to the complexity that we already have, where Katarina is an expert, how actually, what's the situation like, how does it affect ecosystems and so on and so forth. Another thing that seems to me to be even more complex is the social and economic dimension of the whole story, and how something could be changed there in order to have some more visible positive effects in the near future.
Katarina, please, you wanted.
I wanted to say something. Because that's true. When we talk about I completely agree. Our system, economic system, is behind. But there are some mechanism we can get to understand what is really happening. But let's position ourselves first. Climate change is not something that is happening to us. It's not a matter that will fall and kill dinosaurs. It's something that our system created in our name. You know? We are consumers. This system works for consumers. And our footprint, carbon footprint of consumerism is 60%. So maybe we don't like what the system does, but it does it in our name. That's the first thing I would love to say. And the biggest threat to our civilization since the beginning. And our civilization started like 10,000 years ago, where just after the Ice Age, when the first communities of hunter-gatherers settled down and lost all their knowledge they gained during eons, for this more sedentary lifestyle. And we are children of those people. So we have a problem to understand what our position and our place in nature. So maybe it's something a good point to start rethinking ourselves. And another thing is our system, and Henry, I'm just responding to Davos first, but our system understands nature as resources. And we understand nature as natural resources that are subset of the human economy. Mm-hmm. There are no respect. We just use because it's ours. Our system use. So every year in June, when we see that news that we already finished with all the resources of that year, I ask myself, so how do we live from June to December? No? How do we get to December from June if we don't have any more resources? That means that we are using resources that were in wild state. We are keeping destruction of the ecosystem, so our lifestyle and consumerism, so we can continue doing the same on expense of biodiversity and on our own expense and long term.
So basically, we do not understand, definitely, we do not feel it, we do not inhale this fact that our economical system, our economical tissue is destroying our natural tissue. So basically,
our habitat.
Our habitat, which is bouncing back to the society again. And basically, this is a vicious circle where we are in this moment. And what would be the alternative? This is a question for both of you. What would be the alternative? How do you see it? I'm not asking you to give us a perfect theory of alternative economic social system, but simply glimpses. You mentioned, Katarina, in a talk recently that there was Native Americans made some kind of, it was not a memorandum, it was nothing like this, but some kind of idea that you have to think about, I don't know how many generations.
It's Iroquois. It's like Great Law of Iroquois, or Iroquois, okay. Native American tribe, like people of the long houses. Okay. They made like centuries ago this Great Law of Iroquois, which states that it's appropriate to think of long-lasting benefit of children 7 generations ahead. If you do any social activity, economy included. So whatever we do, we should think about the long-lasting benefit of ecosystem and the children 140 years ahead. That's what they applied in their everyday life. But if I was listening Naomi Klein's the other day, so I'm completely influenced now. So let me share her perspective, what Naomi said. And Naomi said, what we need, if we are thinking about this, like, how can we resolve our problems? Because we are here in, like, seeing many crises overlapping. We have many crises, not just climate change. We have pollution, we have inequalities, we have resource wars, so many problems. No? So if we think about it, sooner or later, carbon-centered or based politics will be on scene. We'll have to vote for that, like carbon-centered. So if we don't change the system, we will get market-based response. We will just pay for everything more. And people are already struggling. And after this economic crisis that will follow pandemics, we will suffer even more. So we cannot ask for people to choose between putting food on their tables and protecting ecosystems. I think that's the first thing we should do. We have to deal with inequalities and resource wars. We have to learn to live in equilibrium with nature. With nature, and this like new politics, new Green Deal and everything is based on the same economies and the same resources as our present economy. So we have to look, everyone of us in our small and big groups and communities, how we can change our lives, our ways to deal things, to do things, to live some more nature integrated life. I call it like that. So if you think about it, there are three possibles. I see like three possible ways. Yeah. First would be not like political, not like high, real politics, like developing politics that will illuminate the best in us, not just treasury and gaining money, but illuminate the best in us. So we understand that we are guardians and we are stewards of nature. No, that's why that is our function in the ecosystem. No, we know something better. Animals have much more senses and understand their habitat better than us, but we can help re-establish the habitats and bounce back ecosystems. So maybe that wouldn't be such a bad idea, just to vote for political options and people who are ready to make a bold step forward and stop extraction of natural resources, stop extraction of coal and oil. And then on the second level would be the projects and initiatives community-based and locally, which would provide resilience and strength. Local communities for the future changes that are coming. We all will be tested in the future. And on a third level, it's like a personal level. What we all could and should do. So our carbon footprint will be lower. So our acts and activities would have a long-lasting benefit, not just for us, but the whole community of life on Earth.
I do agree with this necessity. However, I must say that I'm basically personally not in favor of too much emphasis on a personal level because somehow it can be happening that it might remove the focus from this first and foremost level, the political global level, which if it stands unchanged, we can change on a personal level however we want, it will end up in a disaster.